¿Cómo están? Qué alegría tenerlos aquí. Cuando tenemos paneles tan especiales como este, nos alegra mucho que venga mucha gente. Porque muchos de ustedes están acá porque saben quién es Sylvia Earle, y si no lo saben, lo intuyen. Yo les voy a contar algunas cosas interesantes. Sylvia Earle es oceanógrafa, es bióloga marina, definitivamente es exploradora. Yo nunca he visto una persona que esté tan interesada en llegar a todos los rincones del océano, los más profundos, los más desconocidos en el planeta. Es activista también. Es mundialmente conocida como la Dama de las Profundidades. Suena oscuro, pero es lo más claro que hay. Porque su propósito en la vida es proteger el océano, despertar nuestra mirada de seres terrestres a entender lo que ocurre bajo el agua, sumergirnos en su experiencia, porque muchos de nosotros tal vez no tenemos la oportunidad de estar tan cerca, por nuestras limitaciones humanas, de los lugares que ella ha conocido, de los fenómenos que ha comprendido. Fue la primera científica jefe de la Administración Nacional Oceánica y Atmosférica en Estados Unidos, el famoso NOAA. Nosotros lo conocemos mucho por los tsunamis, pero tiene varias otras funciones. Ha dedicado su vida a las inmersiones, ha acumulado literalmente miles de horas bajo el agua. Incluso estableció un récord de buceo en solitario a 1000 metros de profundidad. Ha sido exploradora residente de National Geographic desde 1998. Fue nombrada heroína del planeta por la revista Time. En 2009 ganó el premio TED, lo que impulsó su iniciativa Mission Blue, la que promueve la creación de Hope Spots, puntos de esperanza para el océano, áreas marinas protegidas o consideradas críticas. Acá en Chile ha venido desde que no éramos famosos por tener una costa tan increíble, ha explorado nuestro océano desde la década de los 60, 70. Así que si hay algo que sabe es por qué hay que proteger el océano, y hoy día va a estar con nosotros. Nos va a dar primero su propia charla y después vamos a tener una oportunidad para conversar con ella. Así que con esta ovación, bienvenida Sylvia Earle a Chile.
Thank you, thank you. I trust all that applause is for the ocean. That's why I'm here, to try to speak for all of those creatures out in the sea who can't be here to speak for themselves. I've had the great privilege, more than most, I guess, of having been able to go in the sea for more years than most of you have been around, which gives me almost an obligation. I'm driven, having seen what I've seen for as long as I have been diving into the ocean, to share the view with you and hope you will go see for yourself if you have not already done so. And if you have, I'm pretty sure you will continue going back to see more. Because we, all of us humans, are at the edge of the greatest era of exploration that we have ever been able to do, whether it's high in the sky, using microscopes, using computers, using submarines to go where we cannot go unless we, like going up in the sky, unless we embrace technology that can take us there. Yes, some people wish to go to Mars. I say, good luck with that. I have my list of those I would like to see go to Mars. I would like to go, but I also want to come back. I want to come back to the blue planet. That's home. That's the only place in the universe where our history, where our roots, where our other relatives, other forms of life exist. Not on Mars, not on Jupiter, not on any other place in the universe. It's here. This is our home. It has been around for at least 4.5 billion years. And in very recent times, my lifetime, we, all of us, now 8 billion of us, are actually changing that blue planet to be more like the red one. We're putting carbon dioxide, methane into the atmosphere. You know what? That's what the atmosphere of Mars is like. We can't breathe the atmosphere on Jupiter or certainly on Mars. It's only here. We have a planet that's just right for us, and we're turning it into a planet that is not in our favor. We didn't know that when I was a kid, not when I was a child, not anybody knew. We thought we were safe on this blue planet, and we can be, but the way we are currently changing our blue planet, the future really depends on the choices all of us make. No one person can take us one way or the other. Really, we have to work together to make the future that we want to have. So there are a lot of scientists right now and people just like you and me who are thinking about what is it going to take? Where are we? How close are we to losing the best chance we will ever have to keep this planet safe for us? So, taking measurements, measuring the temperature, measuring the chemistry of the planet. How close to the edge are we? And there are a lot of people all over the world who are saying, we have time, but not a lot, to think about what we, each and every one of us, can do. Nobody can do this alone. But you and I and everyone can look in the mirror and say, I'm whoever it is I am. I'm Sylvia. There are things I can do. I can't do what you do, but you can do what you do in what you choose to eat, what you choose to wear, how you spend your time. At least some of your time should be thinking about how do you keep your home, your life support system, your atmosphere, or the place you live safe so that your kids and grandkids and all the kids coming along, and also the young whales, the young trees, the young everything, and those who know nothing about today, who are going to be there tomorrow, they'll have a place to live that works. So, it's kind of amazing that we know what we know. But I have to say, what impresses me the most about how much we know is how much we don't know. So the greatest era of exploration, of learning, is starting right now. It's not in the past. It may be in the future, but for sure it's right now. We're learning more, faster, and communicating more rapidly than has ever been possible before. We are so fortunate to be 21st century human beings because of the power that we have to discover who we are, where do we come from, and where could we be going if we keep Earth within safe operating space. It's our job. Already, about half of the land on the planet has been converted from a natural wild system just to feed us, to grow corn, rice, wheat, soy, and all the other plants and all the other animals that we eat, that we cultivate. And then there are the wild ones that we also eat, mostly from the ocean. We used to take wildlife from the land when our numbers were small and most of the world was wild. But now, consider, about half of the world has been converted, just half of the land converted just to feed us. And about half of life in the ocean has been taken by us. Only about half of the creatures that make the ocean a living ocean are gone, converted by us to food or products, or thrown away because they're not considered useful to us. It's kind of a big deal. We have displaced so much of the wild land, and it keeps going because our numbers continue to grow, and nature continues to be consumed by us. Most of this taking, most of this transformation of nature has happened when? Since the time that Chile became a country in 1810, an independent country. The land was here. It was here for a very long time before there were humans, and other creatures lived here. But we've displaced them, not just here, globally, especially in coastal areas. And I look at this country, it is one big, long coast. I love the fact that Chile is such an ocean-oriented country. And I am really privileged to be here right now with a chance to just meet with you. And I look forward to time after I give this little talk to be here. Tomorrow I go to Juan Fernandez, and I think some of the rest of you have been there. Some of you may have been born there. But when I first went there in 1965, the number of people there was very small, mostly fishermen. And today, it's changed considerably, and I can't wait to see what it's like going underwater there, where I was 60 years ago. So, around the world, polar areas are changing. It's amazing to think that no one ever had been to Antarctica until 1820. Wasn't that long ago. No humans had been to the continent of Antarctica, nor in the waters surrounding that amazing continent. But now, again, because of our impact on the planet and the way the planet functions, that place too is changing. Polar regions are melting more rapidly than the temperature changes that are causing changes elsewhere on the planet. We are now seeing rapid change, whether it's the Arctic or the Antarctic, that are influencing the climate, but we're the ones who are powering the change. Earth has been warming and cooling throughout its history. But never has it changed because of one species. To increase on a rapid scale that rate of change. So here we are with decisions to make. And here in Chile, you have some of the most beautiful forests that exist on the planet, above water and below. Kelp forests, seagrass meadows, places that support the kind of process that makes it possible for us to breathe. Photosynthesis. God, a word I didn't know when I was a kid. But children of today know photosynthesis, or if they don't, they'll learn it eventually, because that's how green things, a variety of plants like trees, moss, ferns, and also algae, the many kinds of algae, including plankton that capture sunlight, use carbon dioxide and water to make food, sugar, and put oxygen both in the sea, and much of it escapes into the atmosphere. Thank you, plankton. Thank you, a kind of plankton called Prochlorococcus. It's a tiny little cell that wasn't discovered until 1986, but it generates about a fifth, about 20% of the oxygen that all of us breathe. We didn't even know it existed until 1986, which was a while ago. But what else are we missing that we don't know? Knowing, as we do, that now we know that the ocean is where most of the oxygen has come from and is still generated in the air we breathe. So, thank you, ocean. Thank you because of you, I can breathe. And thank you, photosynthesis. Thank you, all those little guys, as well as trees, that make it possible. They also provide food for the little animals. We think of what are the animals in the ocean. Oh, we have dolphins, we have whales, we have fish, we have octopus, we have squid, but we also have gazillions of the very small creatures that eat phytoplankton. Whales cannot process these tiny little things. They have to eat the things that have been eating phytoplankton. That means zooplankton, little shrimpy creatures. That means squid. That means little fish that are eaten by bigger fish, and so on up a long and twisted food chain. But it starts here and just before. These small animals that feed the big ones, but every one of those animals, like every one of us, we take, but we have a way of giving back. We process the food, we put fertilizer back. At least in the ocean and on land, we are unique because we take what we produce and we concentrate it in places. Elsewhere, all these little creatures are part of an interacting, living network of life. And because of them, we exist. They've been doing this for hundreds of millions of years, acting on water, rocks, creating the atmosphere, creating a planet that we have come, I certainly took it for granted as a kid, but now the knowledge is there. We can't take it for granted anymore because what we're doing is taking big chunks out of the ocean, the land, our life support system. We're also putting things into the ocean. This is a food chain in action where the big things are eating the little things or eating the smaller things, changing the chemistry of the planet, making it suitable for the likes of us. The key to being there watching this happen is not being part of the food chain yourself. When astronauts have gone up in the sky, they're just driven when they come back to try to tell you what it's like. The astronaut who took a photograph like this and also the one of Earth as viewed from the moon, Bill Anders, when he was a young man, really by chance was able to take a camera along to be able to take that photograph. It has moved so many of us to think differently about where we live. But he said this is his favorite view, the blue face of the earth. It's the Pacific Ocean. It's the oldest, widest, deepest body of water on earth, but it's connected to all the rest. It's one ocean. And there's some people who have really lived on the ocean as well as the land for several thousand years, which is not much in terms of the history of life on Earth, but it is in terms of the history of our species. The Polynesian voyagers who built out of their, get carried away, these canoes out of the materials they had at hand. They did not have steel, they did not have plastic, they did not have a lot of things that are there for today's vessels, but a reproduction of an ancient sailing voyaging canoe was recently constructed and retracing steps throughout the Pacific to revisit their places, their island homes. It's depicted in ancient maps as an octopus with the head of the octopus in French Polynesia, in Tahiti, and the arms. Real octopuses have a brain at the tips of each of their arms, as well as a central headquarters brain in their head. So they go to Hawaii, to Tonga, to Rapa Nui, to Cook Islands, to New Zealand. They go across the Pacific as pathways, curiously following some of the same pathways that turtles and sharks and whales follow. They're driven by currents. They're driven by the habits of the creatures who are there. There's Tahiti. Here's the voyage of that vessel. It's the voyage that took place just 3 years ago, and now embarking on a new 3-year voyage across the Pacific to try to bring people together. And it's all of the Pacific. It's really all of the world. And that voyage 3 years ago, that vessel, that voyaging canoe, really traveled throughout the ocean, from not into Arctic waters, but they went to Alaska, where it is pretty chilly. Not chilly. But they're carrying this message that we really have to come together to embrace the ocean. It's a message for them. It's a message for us. It's a message for life on Earth. The idea that they have traditionally found their way in the ocean by listening to the ocean, listening to the creatures who live there, listening to creatures such as humpback whales, who are also residents, sometimes, here, in this country. Oops. You want to hear it? Just for a minute. Oops. Oh, you don't want to see that? I'm going to do it. Wait. I saw this during a visit to Australia. It was some time ago, before Australia stopped converting whales into oil and meat and bone. Also here in Chile, when I came in 1968 and saw one of the last whaling stations still actively turning whales into products. We are so good at finding, capturing, and marketing whales, we almost lost a chance to have them with us. We lost dodos, we've lost thousands of species that have been consumed. We could know whales today by going to museums and seeing their remains. But we're so fortunate that we stopped in time. Maybe not quite in time. Some of the great whales are still right on the edge. But most of them, there are more whales, more of the great whales today than there were when I was a child, because we stopped killing them. I mean, we're still killing them by taking their food, by plastics, by other things, running into them with our fast boats. But we've at least have stopped deliberately harpooning whales and turning them into products. We haven't stopped with other... So sorry. With other creatures that we're turning into products. Squid are among the most sought-after creatures now. Tuna, of course, many other things that are mostly known to people because they see them on their plate. Squid fleets now on the high seas are creating lights so powerful that they create this vast area that is illuminated for the first time in the history of the planet. So, just a few months ago, that voyaging canoe, the Hokulea, with a group of Hawaiian sailors, traveled to the head of the octopus in Tahiti. On their way, they found that the birds were further offshore than normal. They found, as they got into the high seas, this halo of light on the horizon. As they grew closer, it was difficult for them to navigate since they choose not to use compasses, GPS, or other modern. They really are trying to emulate their ancestors, using traditional ways of finding their way. They couldn't see the stars, like being in a big city at night. You can't see the stars. Why? Because we illuminate the sky so much that you can't see the stars that are there, but we can't see them. It's one of the many ways that we are altering the nature of nature. So, taking our vessels, the technology that didn't exist in 1820 when the first sighting of Antarctica took place, first ships went to Antarctica to capture, kill, and market seals, then penguins, and then the deep sea fish, including those creatures that are known as, dare I say, Chilean sea bass, that are found in cold Antarctic waters and nowhere else on the planet. Now, attention is turning to krill. Who eats krill? Well, the birds, the seals, the whales, the fish, all dependent on these beautiful little creatures that eat phytoplankton, and their mass turns into all of the other creatures. They're a critical part of the network of life in Antarctica, just as zooplankton throughout the world, throughout the ocean, globally. But in the latter part of the 20th century and now swiftly into the 21st, fleets from Norway, from North America, from Japan, from all over the world, actually only a half a dozen countries, but the products are marketed everywhere. Krill oil turned into cosmetics, turned into food for salmon and other creatures that rely on these. They're not that big, about as big as your little finger, but there are a lot of them, so many of them, that they are critical. They're critical in a climate way because it's carbon that they take from phytoplankton. It's carbon that they store, carbon that they pass on to squid, to fish, to birds, to whales, to seals, and all the other creatures who make up the Antarctic ecosystem. And for us, one species, to travel thousands of kilometers just to go capture these creatures, to turn into products. People do not eat krill, but we kill them in large numbers in order to have something to sell. There is a strong move globally to resist this, to protect the waters around Antarctica fully. No more killing seals, no more killing whales, no more killing deep sea fish, and no more killing penguins. And let's stop killing the krill, too. It's a good idea, and it's working its way through the laws of the world, but something you should know, something you should use your voice to support. Just as mining creatures life out of the sea at levels that are altering the nature of the ocean, deep sea mining is another thing that's beginning to take the attention of people who only look at nature as a source of revenue. We've been doing this for quite a while, but now, with 8 billion of us and a planet that is collapsing, we need to think differently. It hasn't happened yet on a global scale. And mostly the concern is for those minerals on the deep sea that are found in the high seas, the area beyond the jurisdiction of any nation. It's about half of the world. If we could protect it, we could really go a long way towards securing a safety net for ourselves. So this is a place where some of the miners wish to go, with these lumps of metallic nodules that are created by biological action over millions of years. Sorry. Oh, I was hoping this would play so you could see. Oh, there you go. It's an eat and be eaten world out there, but it's just how it works. So there are lots of ideas being put forward. There's some area now protected. The Ross Sea is one of the largest protected areas in the world right now, but look at how much of the waters around Antarctica is open for exploitation. How much of the ocean is open for taking deep sea minerals? How much should we be caring for when our lives depend on it? So, one of the things that I've been doing personally is working with Mission Blue to encourage individuals, communities, cities, countries, people coming together to embrace places that they love and wish to protect with care. And there are now 168 and counting places where just that has happened. And here in Chile, Juan Fernandez is included as one of the hope spots. The offshore islands generally are in that category. This is not official protection. This is cause for hope, a commitment on people to go from wherever a place is to get to a better place. And it means getting out there, getting wet, or getting in a submarine, going down, knowing who lives there, and then doing whatever you can, whoever you are, with whatever power you have, to do something, to shift this trajectory of decline to recovery. So this is the Minister of the Environment for Ecuador. His jurisdiction, when he was in office, included the Galapagos Islands. He is a diver. He had gone out and seen for himself as far down as people can dive using scuba, but he'd never been down to the place where sunlight disappears, into the darkness of the deep sea, where most of life on Earth actually lives. Below where sunlight shines, that's where life really begins in a way that we are just beginning to imagine. And it sounds silly for me to stand here and say to you, most of life on Earth lives in the dark all the time, and it's cold, and the pressure is great. The deeper you go, the greater the pressure. It seems very unfriendly. It is to us, but we are not there. For them, it's home. They like it cold. They like it dark. They like the pressure. So what that humans don't? But we need to know so we can make our decisions based on the truth, not on fantasy. The deep sea is very much alive, and it's really important to maintaining the systems that keep us alive as well as them. So, Minister of the Environment, a little submarine to go see below where he had ever been before. Well, he was apprehensive. This is called evidence.
So great. Aquí con esta belleza hundiéndonos en...
So we went down to the edge of light. It was actually pretty dark. It was more than 300 meters down. And out of the gloom came this beautiful fish that most people think lives up in the sunlight. It's called an ocean sunfish, mola mola.
Can you do it with your head?
Oh, he's right over your head.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This just, it didn't happen right now. Unbelievable.
So having a big ocean sunfish come whisper in your ear made a bit of a difference. He could see what he couldn't see before. All of us are right now at the edge of a time. Just as early in the 20th century, people were at the edge of being able to go high in the sky. You know, I think the greatest era of exploration is just beginning, you lucky kids, whoever you are, because every time anybody goes in a submarine, you're going to see something that you have never seen before, and maybe nobody has ever, no humans have ever seen before. It really is exciting. And, you know, I am privileged, like astronauts, privileged. Not all of us can go up in space, but those of us who can go down in submarines and see our neighbors in the sea, in the deep sea, living in the dark, living in the cold, living in high pressure, and happy to be there. We need to really understand what's there, who's there, how their lives and our lives are all connected, and how we, not they, we have the power to choose the future. It's an awesome opportunity for 21st century human beings. That would be us, that's you, that's me, that's all of us. We can either seize this moment and do something to maintain our safety, our security, by protecting nature in your backyard, in the choices of what you eat or not, in how you work with government to protect, or not waiting for government, do something on your own in your backyard, in your community, in your country, and internationally, to come together with others, to just change the way we think about nature, especially about the places we currently are ignoring. I love here in Chile the fact that a really effective rewilding program is underway to try to give back the big cats and the small animals too, and the trees, protect what remains of the natural systems and restore what we can while we still have a chance. But in the ocean, we're de-wilding the ocean with industrial fishing and industrial mining on the horizon in places that we can't see can't monitor, places we've never been, exploiting creatures we've never met. So I say, bravo. To be a 21st century human being, it's the best time ever to be alive. You have a choice, I have a choice, and I choose to come to Chile to be among people who are really doing what most of the rest of the world is just beginning to see what needs to be done. Already, actions here are protecting about half of the waters along the coast of Chile within the exclusive economic zone, and having the voice of this country be heard in international groups about protecting Antarctica, about protecting the high seas, about protecting our life support system. Why would anyone not wish to do that? So, good news. Here we are. I urge you, if you haven't taken the plunge, realize you are so lucky. You can fly in an airplane. You can tune in to messages from people all over the world, including those who have been to the moon. Listen to them. And listen to those who've been to the deepest parts of the ocean. And get out there and do it yourself. I think my motto for 21st century kids, no child left dry. Get out there and dive in. My mother waited until she was 81 to dive in to the ocean. And she was so cross with me for not getting her into the ocean. And I'm cross with myself for not having taken her the way I've taken my kids and now my grandkids. And I have one 3-year-old great grandson, and I can't wait to go get him wet. Take him in a little submarine. I'm actually helping to build some little submarines. I hope that there will be submarines not just at every hope spot around the world, but anywhere in the world that people wish to go. Thank you for gathering here to listen to my sea stories. I hope you will go out and get some of your own. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for your words. Do you prefer this chair? This is the lighted one. Thank you so much for this presentation, Sylvia. I'm happy to have this conversation with you. I'm honored, in fact. I have here a little book. It says, I am everything that I can remember. And I would like to know some things that you remember. First of all, could you share with us your first time in the ocean?
I hope the rest of you remember your first view of the ocean. When I was 3 years old, I remember it very well because I got knocked over by a wave about 2 minutes after I just went into the ocean, turned my back on the ocean, and for a few minutes, not really, a few seconds, it was very short, I couldn't breathe. I'd never thought about not being able to breathe before. So it was a little scary. But I realized after I got my head out of water and I could breathe, that was fun. And my mother saw the big smile on my face, so she didn't take me out of the ocean forever. She let me dive back in, and I've been diving back in ever since.
Every time you go out from the ocean, you have a big smile in your face.
Yeah.
I was very interested on these kind of memories, and because I mean, you have so much experience, you have been with so many creatures, and I will make the same question I have done the 3 last time I have been with you. Which is your favorite sea creature?
A live one.
I'm a very stubborn person, so I always keep on trying to find one. I mean, always. So I will go again. Have you had a very nice experience with one kind of creature, or you love one kind of attitude they have on the water that you really love? Just tell me one, Sylvia. I mean, please.
Well, we don't really know how many kinds of sea creatures there are. We're just an educated guess, but I love them all. But if I had to choose one, it would have to be one of my grandsons. Sea creature. When you think about it, what creatures need the sea? We do. Whales do, coral reefs do, kelp forests, we all need, every creature on the planet needs the ocean to exist. Take away the ocean, Earth is a lot like Mars. Most of life on Earth lives in the sea. We are the odd ones living on land, and all the other terrestrial creatures. 97%. A small fraction is terrestrial. The ocean is 3-dimensional. The average depth is 4,000 meters. It's about where the Titanic rests. The deepest is 11,000 meters. Top to bottom, it's filled with life. There's some areas where there are greater concentrations, and it's a movable, changing, dynamic system, but it's alive, all of it. Land is also 3-dimensional, but it's squeezed within a space much thinner than the 3-dimensional realm of the ocean. All life needs water, and that's where most of life exists, where water exists. We carry a little ocean around inside of us, but in fish, it's made mostly of water, like we are, but it lives in an atmosphere and gets oxygen through its gills. We have to have our oxygen exchange system called lungs inside of us. If they were outside, it wouldn't work. Have to be in water.
I love this answer because some time ago I asked you the same question and you said humans. And of course, if we could understand ourselves as sea creatures, maybe our attitude could change.
Yeah. Or to think of those in the sea as wildlife. You know, there are a number of agencies in the world, countries around the world, including my own country, called Fish and Wildlife. What is this about fish and wildlife? Fish are wildlife. Just call it the way it is. If people could just see fish as something like birds, they're not just there for us to capture and turn into marketplace. They're part of our life support system. And they're individuals like every bird, every cat, every dog, every one of us. They're all different. You see a school of fish and you think, oh, they're all the same. No, they're not. Like every one of you, you have a fingerprint that makes you, your DNA. And
Sylvia told me one time that when she goes down and she finds a group of fish, she can see different faces on them.
yeah,
Like-
usually you don't see fish faces, you see a fish fillet.
A fish parade, that's a great idea. I was wondering, do you feel like ocean saved you in a way or heal you in a way?
I think the ocean, it's just home. Having been privileged to see what most people have not, I feel everybody should see it. I want everybody to go and dive in. Make it a part of your life. Make it a part of your understanding of what keeps you alive. We didn't know. I mean, those in the past did not have the benefit of what has been learned over the ages. And you think, there are people who lived 10,000, 5,000, 1,000, 200 years ago, whatever, they're as intelligent as any of us, but they did not have the benefit of people learning and passing along the knowledge. And it's the technology that gets us up in the sky or deep in the sea that gives, it's a gift that can cut both ways. Technology can destroy, but technology can enable us to see, the only creatures to use telescopes, the only creatures to also be able to go deep in the sea, or to take ourselves far beyond our own home planet. So, I don't know, it's just, I want you to see it. I want you to do it. I want you to understand. And because it's been truly one of those chance things that I happened to be around when scuba was first made available to the public. I just happened to be around as a young scientist when my first submarine, it was Ed Link, invited me to go try this little submarine and tell him how it could be used. It wasn't built for any specific purpose other than to go down and explore and see what was there. And so, having been given that special opportunity, I just, having seen that there's so much that everybody needs to see. What are you waiting for? I want you to go. I want you to have submarines. I mean, I'm helping to build submarines. Why? Not because I know how, but because I know engineers who know how, and I can work with them to come up with one of now many different kinds of devices that either take cameras, take sampling devices, or take me or you or anybody down to where the action is. I want you to be a witness. You can listen to me, but I don't want you to have to listen to me. I want you to go see for yourself and then share your view of what's there. Just like, I remember the first time I was able to go up in an airplane. I was 5. My parents were, I don't know why they let me go up. 5 years old. I'm not sure I would let my 5-year-old kids go up in an aircraft that I had not been in myself. This is a Piper Cub. It must have been, well, it was in 1940, 1940. It was a time before aviation was as commonplace as today. There was a guy who had a small airplane and was making a living by going from city to city and charging a few dollars to have someone go up in the sky for 20 minutes or so and then come back down. I mean, for me, to be up in the sky and see my parents who looked there this big, and to see the place where
You
I
were
thought of as
without your
home.
parents?
Hmm?
You were without your parents on the
It
plane?
was the pilot and me.
Oh my God. Crazy parents, eh?
So when I say Minister of the Environment for the Galapagos, for Ecuador, let's go take a dive into the ocean. I wish I had hundreds of submarines. I mean, there are, not hundreds, but there are submarines coming to enable anybody to, like getting on an airplane. I'm trying to work it out so that we can have invite people to come at no cost, just so they can see the creatures who live there and get to see their faces. So it's there to be done.
Sylvia, I would like to know more about your feeling of being now alive. I mean, you're 90 years old, but when we hear you in your presentation, sometimes you get so excited that you start to, like, you're so alive. and I know you have had different experiences on the sea, as I can see your parents put you in a very specific place of exploring from the very early times. So I would like to know if you can share with us the idea of the importance of being alive and act in your life. I mean, you're here, and you could be with your great son, you know.
Next week.
So why it is, maybe it sounds simple, but why it is important to live?
Well, if you think about it, it comes into focus pretty clearly that being alive is a miracle. In the universe, where else other than here? It's a miracle to have any time at all, let alone to be privileged to have a few decades. And I don't think about anything more than making the most of whatever time I've got. I mean, why not? Why shouldn't everybody think about what we now can see in ways that no one could see not very long ago? We couldn't. We did not know how special Earth is. When I was a child, no one could imagine what Jupiter, what was made of. The moon, there's songs about the moon being made of cream cheese. But we didn't know. We imagined there to be other forms of life that kind of look like us, but they might be green. I think it would be nice to be green and photosynthesize. But here we are. In all of the history of life on Earth, no one else wears t-shirts. No one else has been able to figure out how to do what we do. We can. I mean, birds fly high in the sky. Some of them go down in the ocean. But we can do both. And we can talk. Whales can talk and be heard across whole ocean basins. At least they used to be able to, but now we've put so much of our noise in the ocean that they cannot hear as over such a long distance. But we can talk to people on the moon. We can talk to people at the bottom of the ocean. We figured out how to do a lot of things that no other single creature can do. But you look around, other creatures can do a lot of things we cannot do. Things that can really help us go from where we are to have a secure place in the future, and to waste it by looking at what we're doing to forests on the land, just looking at their value either as wood or whatever we can sell those trees for, or the space that they occupy as more valuable for us to occupy, without giving a moment's thought to what we can learn from who lives there. I mean, the secrets of the universe are there for us to read. And we're doing a pretty good job so far, but we're losing so much so fast.
You're a part of an amazing generation of people who has worked a lot for nature. They have seen how the planet changed during their lifetime, like Jane Goodall. An applause for her, Jane Goodall, wherever you are. David Attenborough, of course, you are really a symbol of many things. First, you get to know how important nature is for us. You understood that. You're communicating this importance around the world, and you have seen the planet change so much. So, what would you like to tell us, or to the newest, I mean the children that are sharing this panel with us today, or the young people? I don't know, one message for the next 90 years you have in front.
Well, we've got the best chance ever. You know, before we did not know. If we just let things go the way they're currently headed, mine the deep sea, industrial fishing of the high seas, you know, just consume nature as if it will never run out, and it doesn't matter even if it does. The attitude that is taking us in a downward pathway, or in the next, well, you know, the next 5 years will be critical because we're so close to the edge on so many things. But okay, imagine 50 years or 90 years from now. It really is the choice. It's what we do or what we fail to do right now that will determine. I hope I'm around for at least another 5 years to be able to get a pretty good idea. Are we going to make it? Or are we going to keep doing the same stupid things that have caused us to get into this state of decline? We should have been able to see it sooner. But the first time I went to Juan Fernandez Islands in 1965, I saw something. I was in a little Zodiac boat there. We were diving. But I saw something on the surface before we jumped in. It just looked like something round, bobbing back and forth, and we went over to see what it was. It was, unfortunately, it was a dead baby Juan Fernandez fur seal. That was the bad news. It was dead. The good news is, for there to be a baby, there had to be a mom and a dad somewhere. And it was thought they were gone, all gone, extinct. Turns out there was a small colony still there that had been escaping human eyes for long enough so that there was a starting point. When fur seals, when we stopped killing them and gave them a break, Juan Fernandez today is loaded with fur seals. I saw the beginning of recovery to a much better place. I hope that in the next 5 years, I'll see this happening all over the world with one species, one system. Kelp forests. Kelp forests globally are half missing, gone, because of our actions. Part of it is climate, it's warming. But we also, kelp forests need fish. Fish need kelp forests. You can't have one without the other. We've taken the fish, we've taken the lobsters, we've taken parts of what makes a kelp forest a living, prosperous system and made them more vulnerable to things like a warming trend. Coral reefs, same thing. It's a system, it's not just coral. It's coral plus lobsters plus fish plus shrimp, all the things that we've been taking, causing these reefs to be, first of all, decline, but also to be more vulnerable to the shift in temperature and ocean acidification, changing chemistry. Stop the fishing, just leave things to alone, protect them, and maybe we'll see a recovery on the scale that I had a chance to witness right here. Not just with one species, but with, how about the world? We're doing pretty well with 8 billion people. Let's give back to the rest.
You have a lot to do. I think we have few minutes very few, because Sylvia wants to share 1 or 2 questions from you. So, do you have to know something? Here we have a person. I don't know if we can share a microphone. Maybe I can share mine. I have. There. Please.
Hi, Sylvia. I have a question. The conservation landscapes changes very quickly from decade to decade. I wanted to ask, what advice would you give to someone who is in their late 20s or early 30s that wants to start working in this topic?
You want another one?
No. I'm sorry, repeat. Yeah, I mean for everybody.
The question was, I'm sorry, or maybe you can repeat it, but if you're a young person, late 20s or early 30s, I can imagine
Yes.
you are that person?
Yes. I can repeat the
Well,
question.
Okay, say it again.
Yeah, that the conservation landscapes changes very rapidly from decade to decade. And if someone wants to start working in these topics that is on their late 20s or early 30s, given the current challenges we have, what advice would you give to that person?
I think the advice would be look in the mirror and ask yourself, who am I? What can I do? What do I care about? It's hard for me to tell you or anybody who you are. I don't know. But I do know that you should not be afraid to be first. If you see something that you really want to do and nobody else is doing it, why not just step out and start something or do something because you see that it will make a difference. Either something that you're doing that you can stop doing because you can see that it might be causing harm that you hadn't thought about before. But join with others who are doing something that you see that is making a difference. Nobody can do really what it takes, but you can start something. You can join up with others and create so much more. You can be you in the only ways that you can be. And I mean, there is this tendency to think that you can't do anything, and it's overwhelming. I think especially for a young person, but it's true for everybody. I mean, I ask myself that all the time. What could I be doing that can really make a difference? And I work with others. I can't do half of what I want to do, or a fraction. But if I can push here and pull there and jump in the ocean myself, it's there to be done. And I'd like to hear what your thoughts are once you've taken the plunge.
Thank you.
We have so many questions now. I feel very bad choosing one. You choose. Choose someone here, but also then in the back one, because we want to be fair. Okay.
We meet again, Miss Sylvia. Lady Blue here for you with Connie. And your name?
Rosario.
Rosario. There's a lot of young women, men, little not so much in the young age, but average, seniors even, that have been showing a lot of interest to get to know the ocean, not just the ocean, the land. There is no blue without green, no green with no blue. If knowledge comes with caring, and caring implies knowledge, you've said it 1,000 times today. Lo voy a decir en español. Hay mucha gente acá que vino a ver a Sylvia Earle específicamente because you're the hero, not of my generation, but her generation, everybody's generation, because of your courage, por su valentía, su valor, su forma de ser visionaria. just because I would like to know if Sylvia Earle, her deepness, would do it all over again. Sylvia Earle, ¿lo haría todo de nuevo?
My greatest regrets are the things that I did not do. And there are a lot of them, opportunities that I let slip by that perhaps would have made a difference one way or the other. But I can't spend a lot of time regretting, but rather doing whatever I can with whatever I've got. You know, especially young women in the 21st century are facing new opportunities that did not exist in most of the human cultures around the world in the 20th century. But it is changing with a greater appreciation for, I would say, respect for, well, the fact that we're one species, right? Men and women, you know, all genders, whatever. It's one species. So why not just treat all dimensions? I think of those who are taller than I am. Oh, I wish I were taller. I wish that I were more athletic. I wish I could sing. I wish I could crunch numbers. I wish I could be an engineer. I wish I could do this or that or whatever it is. And whether you're a man or a woman or whoever you are, whatever you can do, you are the only one who has ever been you. And whether you have various things that compromise your ability to function as freely as you would like in your society, figure it out. And don't be afraid to be different, to take what you've got and use it. I mean, thank you, whomever, if you have a voice that enables you to sing, or if you can crunch numbers like a computer. You don't need a computer, you just have your brain. But whatever you've got, embrace it and be glad you've got it. There are some people who don't have hearing, who don't have sight, who can't use a voice. There are so many things, but they've got something special. And you can look for examples of those who have been compromised far more than you, whoever you are, and yet they make a difference. I think of Helen Keller, who could not see and could not hear, but she's a legend. She did not let that hold her back from embracing being herself, being alive, and savoring the opportunity to be here. So, what can I say? Go for it.
Yes, she would do it again. In the back, we're gonna find, in the very back, you have like 3 alternatives or more.
Hi. Hi, Sylvia. Thank you so much for coming. I saw an amazing picture of you 2 weeks ago with a great friend of mine, with Tito Ambernicot in CG Thailand, Coral Gardeners. I worked with him creating Coral Gardeners Thailand for almost 3 years, and I came back to Chile looking for opportunities. But I see that here in Chile and in South America, Latin America, many places, great projects of people doing an amazing work in the ground, it's heavily underfunded. There's a lack of resources and they need help. So what advice would you give to projects here in Chile or in Latin America to bring those funds and those resources to them?
When you see that help is needed and you have the power to give help, I mean, if you can, be part of the support system. There are many ways other than just financial contributions where you can help. You can tell the story. You can make their needs known. You can pitch in yourself sometimes, be a part of the muscle that it takes to improve on where we are to get to a better place. So there is no single answer. It's look at yourself and figure it out. What power do you have that can change this current direction of decline? Sometimes it's with coral gardeners, sometimes it's with kelp protectors. It's writing a song that can change the way people think. Write a poem. Doesn't have to be a song. Or a story. I love true stories because they're the best. But sometimes you can tell the truth with a fantasy. I think about so many things that humans can do that can make a difference. And while we do sometimes hold individuals up as heroes, no one has achieved whatever it is they do, whether it's an astronaut or a poet or a politician, doesn't matter. You have relied on those who have gone before to give you what you've got. The advantages right now that no one had before, the knowledge that we have that has taken people, not just decades or centuries, but all preceding history is here for us to use to take us to a better place. So use it. Go for it.
I think we have one more question. Could you please give to some, in a very fair way, the microphone? Have you had an octopus teacher or a whale teacher, Sylvia? 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 Sorry, no. Meanwhile, she finds someone. Have you had an octopus teacher or a whale teacher or a, I don't know,
What have I
a
had?
squid teacher?
The
Ha-
ocean.
Have you?
Best teacher of all.
All the ocean.
All of it. Oh, I mean, every time. All
Did,
the time.
did the microphone find the person? Yeah.
Hi, Sylvia. Thank you so much for coming to Chile. My name is Carolina from Oceanógrafa Foundation, and we work in marine education for marine conservation. And we are facing huge environmental challenges here in Chile. And what I'd like to know, I'd like you to sort of validate our work a little bit. We won an Ocean Award last year through Blue Marine Foundation. And our work is in education, so I'd like you to perhaps share with us if you believe that education is important for marine conservation. Why is education and communicating about marine science so important for marine conservation? The role that education and communication has in marine conservation.
Well, by whatever you call it. Education, exploration, even tourism. Tourism is an industry that is calculated to be worth $12 trillion to the world economy. Can sometimes seem like it's getting in the way of ordinary, hardworking people, but it's education. It's getting people out of their own place in the universe to see how others live, to see the rest of the world and put it in perspective. I think of my parents. My father was born in 1900. My mother was born 2 years later. They married in 1920. During that time before they got married, neither one of them had traveled more than about 30 kilometers from where they were born. There were no cars. Airplanes were just beginning to be created. Of course, there were no spacecraft, and submarines were pretty primitive. Their world was this big. Today, I think about the kids, of what you know that nobody could know when my parents were kids, that I could not know when I was a kid. How do we learn? Call it education, if you will. Call it tuning in to the knowledge that is there to be savored, to become a part of you. We need everyone to be realized that our life support system, our home, Earth, is in trouble because we have taken so much, so fast, that we're changing the atmosphere, we're changing the water, we're changing the fabric of life in ways that are make it unfavorable to us. Very selfishly, you can think about us as the most important reason for learning. We want a secure future. But first you have to know how we got here, what makes us prosper, what makes Earth habitable, and what can we do to keep it that way, and what can we not do that will help turn things from decline to recovery. Stop killing things. Start taking care of things. Understand how the world functions. It's not just for scientists. I mean, kids start out asking the kind of questions scientists ask their entire life. It's who, what, why, where, how, when, and never stopping asking questions. And I mean, you can do that at any age. Anybody can do what scientists do. And everybody should. Never stop asking questions. Never be content with saying, oh, that's known, I don't have to do anything more. Keep asking, how do you know that? And finding out. And what can I do to get it to a better place? People talk about citizen scientists as if that's a category. No, all of us can do what scientists do, and all of us should every day. Ask, how does this work? What can I do? Whatever it is, it should be fun to be a human.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Thank you all for being here. We hope you have a great time in Juan Fernandez. Thank you for being here. Goodbye. Goodbye.